yeah, and it was just kind of a struggle. I can remember, you know, trying to grow and learn about these things, which are also new to me. You know, I remember going through a thing where some of my friends would like hear from God, right? Like God speaking to them. And I remember I just thought, oh, I don't know if he, well, oh, that was part of it. I don't think, I don't think I knew that God, Yah, you know, ABBAYAH, like speaks to us, YAHUSHUA speaks to us, IMMAYAH speaks. I don't think I realized, or I didn't realize. I always question that when people say, "Oh, God told me this," or and things like that. And it was kind of like, how do you know that's like him and not you, or you're just thinking that? Like, how does this work? I didn't understand that at the time, and now I'm like, well, anyways. And so I didn't. I was like, I didn't know he. So yeah, when I first, you know, I was telling you when I first started that relationship, I would just talk and talk and talk to God. I don't think I realized that, yeah, you know, Yahweh God speaks to us. And so it's something that I kind of questioned and wondered. I thought, oh, maybe he speaks to other people, but not to me. And I didn't, you know, I didn't think, oh, you know, why would he speak to me? I don't know why I thought, you know, I don't know if I thought it was some kind of spiritual gift where some people are more holy or more closer to him and he speaks to them, kind of thing. You know, but I was like, oh, I don't think he speaks to me. I don't think I know his voice, or and now I just know that's so ridiculous. It's like, why wouldn't a father speak to his children? You know what I mean? It's like, so that was kind of another thing that I, you know, I was learning about, and I was growing closer to him, learning to hear his voice and recognize his voice. You know, and it was a lot of highs and lows, really, throughout my entire time of college. Just, I had a lot of anxiety about the future, about, you know, my job, getting accepted into grad school. It was just bad. A lot of anxiety. I had bad depression when I was in college that I hid pretty well from a lot of my friends. You know, a lot of things I was dealing with from the past, you know, being bullied, you know, abused, and you know, it was just kind of a lot of things I felt had affected me a lot. Just made me very, yeah, I was very shy. I was, you know, quiet, somewhat awkward, if I'm 100% honest. And it was just, you know, I was just so worried about what the future held for me. How will I, you know, is this the right career path for me? You know, can I really do this? Will I get into school? If I get into school, you know, will I be able to get a, you know, it's just a lot of doubts and a lot of questions. And, you know, I also struggled with, you know, still doubting Elohim-YAH to some extent, and, you know, having, you know, assurance of, am I really his? Am I really, will I really get there to heaven? There's, you know, it was just trying to figure out what the truth was. Like the school I went to held more to like a Wesleyan theology, but I had a friend who was like a Calvinist kind of, so I was kind of exposed to some Reformed theology, and it's just kind of trying to figure out what the truth really was, and, you know, what is the role of like the sinner's prayer. That's what I grew up with and taught with, you know, saying the sinner's prayer. And, you know, I was just trying to understand some, you know, scriptures I'd learned, you know, about the role of, you know, taking up your cross, you know, denying yourself, taking up your cross, and, you know, serving God. And there's different verses that I feel that IMMAYAH kind of led me to. Let me find them, because I'm kind of blanking on it. There was one from the Sermon on the Mount, so it was like Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. That was, you know, that was one where they were always just talking about how basically you just, it's not your works that get you into heaven and things like that. I'm not saying it's your works, but I just felt like they always just made it all about grace. Grace, grace, grace. Grace covers you, and it does, but I feel like they just make it sound like, okay, you accept him, YAHUSHUA, into your heart, and then you just go to church and go to Bible study, and that was, you know, where is that? You know, I just felt like there was so much more to it. I just felt restless, and I do believe, you may have put that in my spirit, I never really felt peace when I was in college. I was just still searching and grasping and trying to find God. And but the one who endures to the end will be saved. There were just so many different verses like that. You know, if you want to follow me, you must, what's it? No. Hate your brother and mother and sister. I'm paraphrasing. I should have looked this up. What? And then the one about like, he who hates his life will gain it, kind of a thing. And I just didn't say people who hated, you know, not hated their life, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess like hate the sinfulness of the world or something, you know, as opposed to like, so many people just seem like they would be disappointed if Yahushua came back. Like, oh, there were so many things I want to do, so many places I want to travel to, and vacations I wanted to take, and things I wanted to experience. It's like, none of that compares to what you will have in the next life, you know? I don't know what I was looking for again. Yeah, anyways, sorry. So I was just trying to figure that out. I just felt like there was more. I remember one of my friends telling me the story, I think it's a good illustration. She was telling me about how, something like, you know, somebody, like your parents, they give you a gift, like all these Christmas presents and stuff. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to just, you know, you accept them and you're thankful and you're grateful for them. You don't try and do something else for them, kind of a thing. And yeah, I just thought, I was like, no, man, when they give you such a good gift, and by parents, it's kind of representing, you know, ABBAYAH, and then the best gift obviously being YAHUSHUA. It's kind of like, well, no, when you get such a great gift, don't you want to bless them back and give back? And I think that's kind of what, you know, he's done so much for us. It's like, now what can I do for you? You've given me everything, and I could give you everything, and it would never be enough to cover what Yahushua won for me, won for all of us. And it was just something that I, you know, could never fully accept, and was trying to make sense of all the theology that I was taught, you know, what the man-made, now I know they're just really man-made doctrines, and I was searching and I never really had peace, but I was still, you know, fighting and trying to learn and grow, and, you know, Yahweh God was faithful to still teach me, and, you know, I was hearing from him more, and, you know, it was good that I learned more about him, and I would, you know, read the Bible and read the New Testament, and there were definitely a lot of verses that IMMAYAH led me to, that taught me more, you know, than stuff I heard in church. There, you don't hear a lot about suffering. You don't hear a lot about persecution, but there were certain verses that she led me to, you know, like in Acts, like it is through many persecutions. Let me find it. It's through many persecutions that we enter the kingdom of heaven. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Oh, where is it? Sorry. There it is. Acts 14:22. There they strengthened the souls of the disciples and encouraged them to continue in the faith, saying, "It is through many persecutions that we must enter the kingdom of God." You know, there are other verses like that too that talks about, here, Romans 5, yes. And not only that, but we also boast in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not disappoint us, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. You know, and there's many other verses that talk about that, and I thought, and that's what I was going through. I was going through a lot of suffering, you know, just with doubting, and I didn't realize at the time there was spiritual warfare. We didn't learn a lot about spiritual warfare. I wasn't taught a lot about that in school, though I did have, you know, my best friend at the time did have an experience with a roommate. Her roommate was a Hindu, and which is odd because it was a Christian college, but she lived in that town, so she went to our school. And my friend had some experiences where like her roommate would come back and I don't know if she was speaking some kind of demonic tongues or what, like she would be, I think, kind of drunk or something like that, and my friend would hear these tongues and she'd be all like freaked out, and I didn't really understand the spiritual warfare. I didn't even think demons were really real. I was like, I don't know if this is real. Again, now I'm like, how did I not know this stuff? Like, yes, demons are real. That's why, Yahushua cast them out. Many stories of him casting out demons in the New Testament. So, yeah, there was, unfortunately, I think that friend, my senior year, she kind of fell away from the faith when her friendship with that guy I told you about kind of disintegrated. Her faith kind of disintegrated too. One thing she was saying was, oh, like the spiritual warfare, is it all worth it? And I was like, yes, of course it's worth it. This is God we're talking, this is God we're talking about. And I kind of lost touch with her after that, and our friendship also kind of disintegrated. There just wasn't much, when our faith wasn't binding us together anymore, there wasn't much holding it together really, because we were truly such different people in a lot of ways. And I don't really ever know if she came back around. I don't know. I hope she did, but yeah, I was kind of learning more about hearing from the Lord my senior year, and I was involved with this group called Prayer Warriors, and they were really great in teaching me different ways to pray and how to pray. The leader of it, she was awesome. She just seemed like she was so on fire for the Lord and very serious and sincere about her faith. She was such a sweet girl, and she was always so nice to me, and just how to pray with boldness, and it was just a great thing to learn from them, and experience Christian community, which I never had quite to that level, where and just that kind of spiritual intimacy where you're praying together for the same things, and drawing closer to God. That was great. That was another thing I experienced at college with my classmates that I never experienced in a church. Even though I was always told, kind of guilt tripped about not really going to church and being consistent with that. I just never really found a church like so often the pastors would have a spirit of pride, and I would always think of that one verse, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble, and I would think, man, if this pastor is proud, he's walking in opposition to the Lord. Like, why would I go to his church and listen to him preach if he's not, if he's walking in opposition to God? Like, that's not good. So often I would not go to, because I feel like I would come across that so much, and I was just kind of like tired of it, and I kind of gave up on that and was more concerned about seeking the Lord on my own as best as I could. And I think I finally had come to a place where I was more solid in my faith at that point, through the different trials and things that Lord had taught me about his goodness and his and trusting in him a little bit more, even though I hadn't fully gotten there. I was just hoping, once I graduated, my concern was always, oh man, whenever I go home in the summer, all this Bible reading and relationship stuff kind of falls away. How will this, will my faith crumble once I graduate from this Christian college and leave in this Christian environment where you go to chapel and you have your Christian friends and Bible study and this and that, like professors who pray before class and things, it's like, how will it survive beyond this point? Once I go home, once I start going to grad school, which I did get accepted into, that was another thing. It was like, I had wanted to do this career for so long, and some of that is like cultural. I felt pressured into it to some extent, and I had a lot of doubts about doing it, but I kind of prayed to, ABBAYAH, like, if you want me to go through with grad school, please let me get accepted into this one school.